Good morning. I'm Janette Millin, your senator, your voice, your advocate in the 29th legislature. My friends, next week, if you are a registered Democrat, you will have a very important job of electing fellow Democrats at the primary election to represent our party in the general election. Democrats, I'm asking that you take your responsibility very seriously to vote. Please do not leave it up to chance. While these are some very challenging times, I feel honored and privileged to serve this territory as one of your elected representatives. And I need you to understand that the difficult choices I have had to make, I have made them with your best interest at heart. There have been many times when the pressure and intimidation was intense, but this position would be meaningless to me if I did not act under the most ethical, balanced, and deliberate manner. Case in point, Tuesday's Senate proceedings. When the legislature reconvened in formal session, we met to consider two additional borrowing bills for the government. We spent an entire day questioning administration officials, defending their request for an additional $27 million for capital improvement projects and cars for the VI Police Department vehicle fleet. This on top of $130 million already authorized between January and last week. This week, we were told that the borrowing was for working capital because our revenues are no longer sufficient to maintain the government spending. An additional $35 million was being requested for energy efficient retrofitting of public buildings, including our public schools. Indeed, we heard a lot of words: borrow, borrow, borrow. However, many of my colleagues and I were not satisfied with the priorities set forth by the administration to drive the territory further in debt. While I did not vote to authorize the initial $120 million earlier this year, one of my biggest concerns on Tuesday was why the administration had not borrowed the money as yet. I proposed that since the original amount had not been used, that the Senate ought to reprioritize the use of the entire amount, since some of the original reasons stated had been slowly being addressed, such as tax refunds. Additionally, the bills were flawed. They contained numerous errors. One of them even made reference to a VI law that is not even a law. The bills need more work and more consideration than could be given in one meeting, even if that meeting took all day. I have no problems with going to work and doing what you pay me to do, and that is to analyze and be thoughtful in casting my votes for or against any measure, regardless of who has proposed it. Therefore, I made a motion to send the bills to the Finance Committee, which is the committee of jurisdiction. This move was consistent with my deliberative style of governance. I believe I heard some rumblings from somewhere that this action showed little leadership. Shame on those who would want to bypass the committee process for measures that would have far-reaching implications for our way of life. The legislature needs to review such measures and not rush into making decisions that are mortgaging the future of the children of the Virgin Islands. I remember clearly the criticisms leveled against me for wanting to take my time to study the administration's request for the now infamous sports complex on St. Croix. The final outcome vindicated my actions. I take my time to study the issues. There was even misinformation spread recently regarding my position on the bill giving federal law enforcement officials local peace officer status. I did not vote against the measure last week. I voted to send it to committee for more discussion and discovery. The point is that the Senate needs to ensure its lawful and rightful place in the equation to develop policy and to decide how any further borrowing will be done. Personally, I do not favor borrowing. I agree with my colleague from St. Croix who earlier this year called for us to manage a government that we could afford. But I understand that absent any other funding and provided we have borrowing capacity, we should borrow in ways we would be directly impacting and enhancing your lives, the lives of Virgin Islanders, not just a few contractors. Think about it. With the almost $1 billion in borrowing since 2009, how has this borrowing improved your quality of life? If there's one thing for certain, it's that the territory is at a critical point in its history. I believe that I have proven that I have acted in your overall best interest in each instance. I would like to continue to serve you. and I'm humbly asking for one of your votes. Please continue to listen to my messages. Call me at my office at 693-3525. Join the campaign or simply take the opportunity to speak with me when you see me around. I will continue to keep you informed of my legislative agenda, accomplishments, and future goals as I have from the beginning. Thank you for listening. Until next week, this is Janette Millin Young, your senator, your voice, your advocate, and a proud Democrat. On your ballot primary day, number 18.